In 20XX is a journey into the singularity year by year. Based on hard science, this series showcases emerging tech and searches for what is possible. The story changes as tech evolves. Rate the show so others can find it. Cautionary listening is advised.
Before the storm, above ground was the land of the living. The subterrane was the domain of those who passed on. Now that's flipped. We live under the surface, and the other place where we take our dead is up there, above the ground, outside of our covered shelter. The funerals are part of every day. When a child dies from the shaking disease, their families dress them in tribal clothing and bring them to one of the elevators that rise to the outside. Along the way, we mourn according to custom. We wail, we sing, and we beat the ground with branches. We can't find the cause of the shaking disease, but a clear pattern emerges. Those 11 or older are safe, but those as young as 5 have succumbed to the shakes. In a population of thousands, very few children between 7 and 10 still live. An age gap is opening. The fear of what will happen to a loved one younger than 7 is enough to drive parents to despair. Some children develop sympathetic symptoms. Parents panic when their kids tremble, are relieved when the symptoms turn out to be false, are heartbroken when the children later get sick for real. People look at any child under 7 with sorrow and pity. Parties are held for the very young. They are showered with gifts. Live performers put on plays and puppet shows for them. We are all a society of mourners. Even those who haven't lost a child mourn the loss of friends and family. The storm has taken homes and entire communities. We add to memorial walls that stretch along the T-line tunnel. We hold mourning rallies and vigils where we dress in black, burn candles, and sing songs for those who've started the long journey. Many have decided to walk the loop of mourning. They walk the entire T-line, visiting memorials and sitting in on support circles. Cindy wakes. Winston still sleeps next to her. She rolls over and climbs out of bed. On her way to the bathroom, she stumbles on his shoes, knocking one over. Wow, they're as heavy as paperweights, even though they look like normal loafers. After the bathroom, she sits at the table and checks her messages in AR. We are proud to announce Open Floor, a place where every adult can post, discover, and vote on current issues facing United Tribes. Everyone has a say. As Cindy reads further, her brows pinch together. You can attend any time, day or night, take a short course, or simply log in to find out how it works. Vote on any issue, day or night? How does that work? Don't people need to be there at the same time? The more you explain your position on an issue, the better a position avatar we can create for you. Cindy feels confused, so she hits the login button. She finds herself sitting in a circle of 20, maybe 25 seats in the middle of a room. Along the walls, tall, narrow windows let in daylight. Wooden beams cross the ceiling. All the seats are filled with others that look at her, nod, and wave. Her eyes widen when some people change to different people. One guy wearing a weather-beaten baseball cap says, "We're getting a lot of people logging in right now to try this service out. There may be some glitching. If you look down, you'll see the issues up for vote. Each issue will remain in queue until a response is decided on. Issues are up for vote for at least a week." His voice begins to sound feminine as he grows smaller and the hat disappears. Cindy reads the topics. Crime, space use, drug laws. People in the circle talk to each other and continue to switch who they look like and how they act. A man with round cheeks next to Cindy says, "Are you here to vote on the Constitution? I believe the right not to work should be added to core human rights. What do you think?" She tilts her head and gazes into his eyes. "Are you live? Are you Hume?" "I'm a synthesis of real Humes who visit Open Floor. As conversations unfold, I bring together the most spoken about ideas. So you're an AI? As he speaks, he changes into a femme with a row of bone mounts down the ridge of her nose. Yes, you are seeing a summation of live conversations. Others will see you when they join conversations. Two people raise their voices as their conversation heats up. Two others join them. A small man says, "A constitution enforced by AI would be too immutable. We need a constitution that'll eventually fail." A femme wearing a hoodie says, "You want a corruptible constitution? History repeats. Greed is the enemy of the common good and it'll creep in wherever it can." The femme next to Cindy says, "Want to join their conversation?" The small guy says, "We are giving up our sovereignty to AI?" The femme says, "You want a Supreme Court that can be bought? Billionaires broke the US Constitution." Cindy looks at her option buttons. If AI decides what's discussed here, isn't it deciding what isn't heard here? The person next to her says, "Misinformation and anti-facts are filtered out." As an example, one Hume continually stated that people living in South Line were getting bad drinking water, which is factually not true. Cindy turns her head to the side. "How do you know?" The femme turns into a taller femme. "Our robots sample water supplies?" She says, "Do I choose a party?" "There aren't parties. Everyone can vote on individual issues, large and small." "What if I want to belong to a party?" "You can identify how you like, but we don't use a party system. You must vote on each issue independently." She looks back at her options. "Okay, I'll bite." She taps the crime button. A nervous femme steps forward and joins Cindy and the tall femme. "The issue with crime is we have Hume police, but crime is getting out of hand. With over 7,000 people, we need more law enforcement. Not enough people want to become police. Do we put into place automated law enforcement that relies on deep and wide surveillance, much like the US used? Or do we pay officers more?" A femme with voluminous hair joins in. "If this passes, an AI will watch over all of us all the time. That means if you don't want to be seen when you go to the bathroom, you better take your glasses off before you go. More cameras and sensors will go up." A man says, "Government or law officials won't be watching you." But AI will. If someone commits a crime, the AI will have more evidence than needed to prove the crime. This makes law enforcement 94% effective and much, much cheaper. Cindy says, "Oh, we should pay officers more." She remembers the uneasy feeling she had, knowing her robot baby recorded her day and night, and that those recordings may someday get played in court. Hume law enforcement, for sure. A femme says, "But justice by Humes is messed up by biases, inaccuracies, and false memories." Cindy holds her ground. It will get worked out. Big data reveals a tendency for police to treat people differently. It can't be helped. We are animals. Cindy shakes her head. "I'm certain more police is a better option. I don't want my every action recorded." In real life, Winston taps her shoulder. "What are you doing?" She taps log out and leaves VR. "Hi, I'm trying this new voting space. Anyone can vote on anything. Want to try?" He stretches. "Nah." Good afternoon. You're listening to United Nations News at 5. I'm Sherry Rose. 2 more individuals have departed the settlement. Storm winds took them out of range of the internet and beyond rescue possibilities. Although all known exit points remain under watch, some still slip through. Suicide in our community is a devastating reality, and one that we've grown far too accustomed to. If you believe someone may contemplate leaving, please reach out for help immediately. The impulse to end one's life is often fleeting. Most people who are stopped in time later express deep gratitude for being given a second chance. In infrastructure news, Automated Projects has just completed its second geothermal power plant. The bulk of the energy generated will be directed toward cooling and purifying the colony's air supply. Over time, the company plans to insulate every tunnel and shelter room. In the meantime, Designated groups will be relocated to cooler apartments, beginning with our elders and families with the youngest children, so please be patient as your turn approaches. Health officials continue to grapple with overcrowded hospitals, despite the rollout of home care kits for children affected by the shaking disease. Parents concerned their child may be exhibiting symptoms are urged to ask, assist for a kit. These kits deliver hospital-level care in the comfort of your home, sparing families long waits in emergency wards and ensuring a more soothing environment for children. Neighborhood tensions remain high over the use of communal spaces. Last year, a couple constructed an 8-room dwelling along the T-line, only to be relocated, amid public protest, into an apartment complex. And you may recall that, just last week, a local gang seized control of a beloved bowling alley, barring entry. In a turn of events, community members killed 4 of the 6 gang members determined to reclaim the venue. In response, the council is establishing new protections so that businesses, like bowling alleys or street-side vendors, can operate without fear of violent takeover. This concludes News at 5. Thank you for joining us, and have a pleasant evening. The facility feels brand new, but it's the result of the construction bot team's hyper-insulating 20-year-old commercial spaces. The air feels cool, fresh, and easy to breathe. Cleaner bots pick up little dust even though they clean often. The room stretches far and wide. Various server systems and supercomputer systems take up blocks within. Mostly dark throughout, here and there lights blaze. Tall matching cabinets stand in groups. These include legendary supercomputers. The Riznor Gallipoli played a major role in eliminating most cancers. Student 1 served secular students nationwide. The Nord's Kingdom supercomputer trained Jobs AI that amounted to the largest workforce in history, more than doubling Humanity's workforce. Most of these computers are protein and don't produce nearly as much heat as their predecessors did, so temperature control systems aren't very visible. Misty and Ed ride on a cargo cart that once served a Montana airport. They pass Luton 2s working on a 20-cabinet server. Cabinet doors are open. The bots roll out cable and slide racks into the cabinets. The cart passes a group of people standing at tables. They work on machines and robots' parts. Ed says, "Can't the bots make repairs?" Misty says, "They can, but we want people to learn to do it because it boosts morale, and it's safer to have humans knowing how to make and repair machines. If all machines break, you want people to know how to fix them, don't you?" A few empty blocks from the group, a shiny new 15-cabinet system stands. Next to it, 6 people, including Jade, stand and sit at desks in a lighted area. They all wear pale blue coveralls and AR visors. Some of them look up as Misty's cart stops and Misty gets out. A man gets to his feet and taps Jade on the back. She steps back from a monitor and walks toward Misty. "How much time do you have?" Misty smiles at everyone. "An hour, maybe?" Jade rubs the back of her neck. "We're about ready to start. We need a project to start with." Misty says, "I like the idea you had last night. We need to learn to make computers. Can it do that?" Jade points and leads as she walks to a cabinet by itself with a screen and keyboard attached to it. "We can find out. This here's the pre-computer. It's separate from the ASI. We run an objective in it to find possible bad outcomes. It runs in a simulated environment that makes it think it can reach the outside world." Misty says, "Lovely." Jade taps a key. "Our first goal is modest. If things go as planned in the trial computer, what then?" "We give the goal to the ASI. I think it'll give us directions and code that we can use to program robots to build the equipment we need to grow graphene protein computers." Misty pretends to think it over. "I suppose there's one way to find out." Ed says, "Famous last words?" Jade's eyebrows remain high. "Shall we get started then?" The others smile and shift with excitement. Misty nods and looks around. "Let's do it." Perhaps Cindy is a coaster. There sure are a lot of coasters. Everyone does some coasting. Who wouldn't? No one must keep a job. No one is hounded by debt. If you take it easy for a few days, it doesn't matter. But now social media asks, Are you a coaster? She likes to chill. She likes to roll out of bed mid-morning and take naps midday. She enters the vending arena, a large round room that branches off the T-line where people can set up day vending spots. This place is always busy. After shops close in the evening, dances and shows start up. Every moment brings new faces as she lets herself get lost in the shuffle. Paths crisscross as people move through the center floor to stop in front of stands. Hand-painted signs advertise cute clothes, puzzles, and spices, to name a few. Where is he? Where is he? There he is. Winston stands with Tommy behind their counter serving food, and sure enough, people line up. Cindy finds a table to sit at and watches them. They hustle, taking orders, adding fresh food to the grill, loading plates and handing them out, all while chatting with each other and customers. Winston is so in his element. Cindy laughs. Look how wide his cheeks get when he smiles continually. Tommy looks weird, not wearing any glasses. She is so used to seeing everyone wearing AR glasses all the time. It's startling to see a naked face without them. Why isn't he wearing any? Tommy likes to make a statement. Today he wears a tight t-shirt and a choker, but not wearing glasses is no way to show off. A femme approaches. Mind if I set these here? Go ahead. The femme moves stuff in a bag and pushes folded clothes into it. She notices Cindy's gaze. Their food is good. Get some while you can. They won't be here tomorrow. They travel a lot. Cindy brushes hair from her eyes. I know. The tall one is my boyfriend. They got back from Shasta Station last night. The femme says, Oh wow, someone was murdered there. They say it was the work of a serial killer. A heavy weight suffocates Cindy's warm, smug feeling. Her smile falls off her face. The femme closes her bag. Well, I guess it's good he made it back. You're lucky your boyfriend makes such good food. She smiles at Cindy and walks away. When Cindy sees the femme has gone, she crosses her arms and presses them close to her chest. Her eyes droop and she presses her lips together. To make an emulated personality, you need to record a person exhaustively. Ideally, you want to record them day and night throughout their lives. VR dots, tiny chips embedded in skin and triangulating position, help capture the person's movements large and small. How do they jump? How do their eyelids flicker? Mics catch all the noises they make, not just their voice, but how loudly do they walk? How do they make objects sound when interacting with them? Multiple camera recordings can be turned into 3D footage. The subject's personality aesthetic must be captured. How do they laugh? How fast do they speak? Do they move gracefully, awkwardly, rigidly? Do they come across as warm, serious, absent-minded, humorous? Their emotional motive landscape is mapped. How sad can they get? What part does fear play in their lives? The more recordings of their responses in particular situations, the better. Configuring emotions involves not only how they respond emotionally, but how do their emotions move them through life. If they're prone to bitterness, that influences their entire range of emotions. Most importantly, their quality of mind must be captured. Most emulated personalities will be made of people renowned for being great creators, inventors, business leaders, judges. In other words, people needed for their mind work. We record their words and actions to find out what kind of decisions they make. Brilliant minds come from patterns of thought that can lead to insight and discoveries that can be gotten no other way. So an emulated personality isn't just a skin. It is used to make AI that behave the way great minds behave. AI can already simulate personalities as deep and convincing as roles by the greatest actors. Hence the well-known saying, there are no bad actors anymore. All AI actors could win Emmys if they weren't disqualified because they aren't human. Emulated personalities are used as teachers, advisors, therapists, trainers, interior designers, makeup artists, architects, law counselors, editors, doctors, and nannies. One butler became famous when, personality cloned, he showed up in households around the world inside of Luton bots. With enough data collected, an emulated personality is as good as the original in all ways imaginable, with exceptions. There are gaps. Most EPs weren't made to match the original's romantic side. If a philosophy professor had a knack for writing nasty emails to colleges, that area of data was omitted. If a spiritual guide visited a topless bar every Wednesday, that artifact was lost to oblivion. But whether they're in robots or VR as avatars, the emulated personalities are as wise as the greats that shaped them. While a cart takes Misty down the tube, she speaks with Dr. Wendell, an emulated personality. Making all kids go to school is the least favorite policy. You could say it's the only unfavorable policy. Dr. Wendell appears to sit next to Misty. Her young, stern face conveys serious thought. You said yourself that no one need to work. So, what are you preparing the kids for? The cart turns down a hall where some people and droids walk. The walls are covered with an unbroken screen depicting winds blowing grasslands, creating the illusion of a transparent hall crossing grasslands. Misty frowns and shakes her head. Education isn't just about preparing kids for work. With AI running everything, we need smarter people more than ever. It's also about true equality. If all children receive an equal quality of education, that's one of the few things we can do to bring equality to everyone. Education saved my life. Misty realizes that she says things to an EP she'd never say to a real human. With Dr. Wendell EP, she can test ideas by sometimes saying things she doesn't completely believe. This is it up here. Wendell puts a hand to her chin, a sign of hesitance. Do you want me to be visible to others? Yes, or no, maybe not. Just advise me. I'll bring you into a conversation if I need to. Dr. Wendell drops her hand and nods. Misty steps off the cart and walks into a room with benches and doors in the back. Murals on the walls depict hills with flowers as painted by a child. A lutein steps through the door. It's covered over by an AR avatar of a roundish brown femme with black hair tied in the back. Hello, you must be Misty. I'm Lori, the principal. Misty faces her. Hello. Lori takes Misty down the hall, letting her look into classrooms. In the first classroom, a teacher, an avatar with suspenders and mustache covering a lutein, stands behind a transparent AR presentation board and writes math problems while 12 kids sitting in desks follow along, writing in AR notebooks. Lori says, School is year-round, no summer vacation. Each school is small. We encourage kids to join clubs, special subject programs, and go to camp. We link kids with shared interests like planets or Japanese anime. In the classroom, children raise hands and the teacher points to one. Wendell says, The teacher and principal are like me, emulated personalities. Misty gives a half smile. I'm getting to know many. Lori smiles with mouth only. I'm sorry, I don't understand. Misty says, Oh, I wasn't talking to you. I have a consultant with me. How old are these kids? These are 12-year-olds. A lot of the kids were gang members. They spent more time in counseling in the first year. This year they spend most of their time learning. There's a big gap between ages 7 to 10. In the next classroom, 10 kids sit in a circle. The EP teacher stands in the middle. Tolerance of differences is a cornerstone of social function. Misty says, I remember this class. This is ethics, right? Ethics and critical thinking. Nice. They walk to the next doorway. We teach science, reading comprehension, history. With Hume's guidance, we restructured our history programs to remove colonial bias and uplift the voices and stories of native tribes. Any parent can review what we teach and how we teach. We work with all parents' concerns. They look in on older students in an aeroponics lab growing bananas, peaches, apples, pineapples, and watermelon. Though the modified plants all grow as vines, they produce fruit that used to grow on trees. Misty says, Is there any difference between what you think is true and what you're told to teach? Not only am I made to teach children what parents want them to learn, the femme I'm modeled after was particularly good at serving families of a variety of worldviews. Misty can't help but press further. But surely she had micro-gestures that gave away her true feelings about, let's say, who she felt was the best student. Lori says, The person recorded to serve as model for me was the best, and that includes her micro-gestures that communicated every student's worthiness. Misty looks down. Fair enough. When Winston closes shop, he wants to show Cindy his new apartment. Did you bring your night bag? Of course. How far is it? Well, we'll need wheels. He squints as he grins. The cart drops them off on a quiet street. Cool air that touches her face smells of fresh mycrete. In the dark, 3 stories up, the barely visible ceiling can nearly seem like night sky. 2nd and 3rd floor balconies extend over the sidewalk. The bricks below her feet feel nice to walk on. She can almost forget that they're stuck underground. Winston sounds proud. This is all new, built by droids, of course, she says. Is it always so cool here? Seems kind of vacant. He leads. I'm one of the first to move here. This is it. He steps into a lift and she follows. They go up 2 levels. Entry alcoves wait on their left and right where they stop. A door in the left alcove opens. She follows him in. You pay for this, don't you? They enter a large apartment with windows onto a long balcony. Her eyes sweep across a large open kitchen and 2 front rooms. He takes her bag. $5 a month. She says, Wow, more than universal income. What happens if you can't pay it? I guess I move back into one of the jail cells. She drops her bag in the middle of the floor. Hey, I still live in one of those. Where's all your furniture, big spender? The next morning, before she opens her eyes, she hears a crunch. He says, Oh shit. She opens her eyes and sits up. Winston stands next to the bed. I stepped on your glasses. He picks them up. The lenses fall out and the frames are bent and broken. Cindy slumps. She feels like she's been in a car accident. Her most important depended on irreplaceable possession. Her mouth drops open. How? They were on the floor. Why are you wearing your shoes? He gazes past her. I heard a noise outside. I went to have a look. The next day in the vending arena, Cindy stands, head averted, in front of Winston's vending stand. A cart moves through the crowd and Winston jumps out. He isn't there. She steps to the side to avoid someone passing. Maybe he's on his way. Winston says, His apartment is empty. What the grok, Tommy? This is the first time she's seen Winston act jumpy. She shuffles her feet and folds her arms. Didn't he say anything to you? You guys were talking about your next trip yesterday. When she realizes she may sound accusatory, a flash of fear burns through her. Winston's face turns hard-set. I don't know. He ducks under a table to get inside his vending stand. Cindy has trouble keeping her thoughts together. She should stay and help Winston, but this place is so noisy. Maybe he moved before and forgot to tell you? The 13 council members sit at the circular meeting table. This is one legacy tradition that the council meets in real life, easy enough to do when everyone can make it to a meeting in less than an hour. Medium dim light shines from above, making serious shadows on all the faces. Jenna, a centennial who has cat-eye glasses that change shape to match the angles of her eyebrows, says, The proposal to offer a reward for information leading to the identity of the serial killer passes unanimously. Up next, new proposals. Those wanting to present a new proposal, raise your hand. 6 raise their hands. Misty, how about you go first? Everyone watches. Some hold their breath. Some steady themselves for what Misty is about to say. Misty removes her glasses. I like to look at what people are saying informally, on social media, in footage of live events. One thing people do a lot is compare the colony to a prison. Brando, with a face etched with years of ambition, says, That's human nature. Look, we save their lives and give them food and clean, secure shelters, and they call it a prison. Jenna's glasses slope outward. How could an underground shelter not be like a prison? Misty speaks slower than usual. I think we're missing something more important here. They aren't saying the entire colony is like a prison. They say their apartment group is like a prison. I think our population is large enough for inequality to emerge. Now hear me out. Most of us on the council live in Northern Lights, and Northern Lights has become a sought-after location. Although we don't have one of the new pay-for apartment duplexes yet. We have the best chefs, the best plays, swimming pools, art walks, boxing finales. Brando cuts her off. That happened organically. Most of us... Misty interrupts. I'll cut to my proposal. I propose that everyone on the council live in the lowest-ranked neighborhood during the time they serve council. The others clamor over each other with disagreement. That's uncalled for. Another one of your stunts? That won't change anything. Jenna brings her hammer down. Hold it, we can all see that this won't pass. Misty says, I can pass on open floor. Let's see what the community thinks of it. Brando stands. I'll quit council if it passes. Misty allows a faint smile. Promise? Cindy and Winston sit in Cherokee Station at a screen-top table looking over a 3D map that appears to float below the table's surface. People pass through, some quickly, some meandering. People wear panic fabric that can turn hard as shells if hit with a rapidly moving object. She knows for a fact that people carry guns, knives, and pepper spray. Some walk with guard dog bots or even born dogs. Femmes walk with femmes. That's a good thing. No, it's not. If people are arming themselves and only going places in groups, it's a sign that they don't feel safe. He says, I've booked vending spaces at these 5 spots, and these are the locations I still need to book. But I don't want to do it too soon, so we aren't locked down to a time schedule. Bags under her eyes, she says, We want to visit the memorial sites on the way. I wish we could go with a group. Just as she says this, she notices a memorial group pass through. They wear black and carry what look like candles, though the light comes from a wiggling, light-emitting wire. He rolls his eyes. So we should start out tomorrow. She says, I'm ready. The next morning, they wake in Winston's apartment, load the follow cart, and head out, both wearing black. Few travel through the halls and tunnels. In the middle of a wide space with an arching ceiling, 2 youths box in a ring while others stretch and tape their hands outside the ring. Near a wall, people move supplies onto vending tables. A musician tunes a guitar while 2 dancers practice jumping off each other. Early risers wait at tables. Autono carts move supplies, while dozens of bots, large and small, pick up garbage and clean surfaces. Winston and Cindy stop and get food from one of the no-charge kitchens. With bloodshot eyes, Cindy says, How long do you think it'll take to walk all the way around? Including chef days, it could be 2 months? 3? Wow. Cindy lights a bundle of sage and slowly waves it as smoke steams off. They pass a doorway and can see many people seated inside. People enter as others leave. An amplified voice says, Felt I'd make it as nice for him as I possibly could. I knew he didn't have much time. Walking through a site under reconstruction, they stay clear of triple-size construction bots that place supports, dig, and cover the walls with insulation. A bipedal wearing an orange vest walks with them. Stay on the boards, do not leave the path. Spinning lights flash and a jackhammer rattles. They walk a ways in silence. They could call a cart, but walking the memorial loop is the point. The section of tunnel they enter has the original bare walls with streaks of water stains. Here, modest Brit lights hardly light the way. It seems only delivery carts and memorial walkers pass through this section. The air grows warmer to a point where Cindy feels sweat on her neck and underarms. Her throat itches and sometimes she makes a little cough. Her sage burns low, so she steps on it to put it out and wraps it in carb foil. Without her AR glasses, the world feels stripped of its layers, flattened and raw. She keeps glancing at the corners of her vision, expecting overlays to hold her messages from friends, notices, directions, and reminders. If avatars pass, she can't see them. Signs and names are missing from doorways. She can't see the softly glowing posters and art that people put on the walls. It's like watching a movie without the sound. What's worse, it makes her weaker. She stumbles more as her brain searches for cues that aren't there. It's not just inconvenient, it's unmooring, like losing a sense of touch. She's alone in a way she hasn't been in years. They pass a memorial group and overhear them talking. Yeah, that's the fourth, isn't it? Or fifth. I lose count now. Fourth they've confirmed, but who knows? Makes you wonder how many they haven't found. Don't say that. You're scaring me. Just don't walk alone. They say none of them were robbed. They were all chefs. They're being chosen. Cindy tries with all her might to remain walking normally. Her chest wants to cave in. She's too scared to look anywhere near Winston, but still feels his eyes burning. If he asks her something at this moment and her voice comes out shaking and strained, then he'll know for sure that she knows. What does she know? That's it then, isn't it? She's sure about it now. So what the hell is she going to do? An hour later, they enter a wider area with an elevated platform, doorways, and lights. Many bots unload carts. Winston says, "Isn't this where the council is moving?" She makes sure to speak calmly. Seems out of the way. Offhandedly, he says, "They call it Alcatraz. They have the smallest apartments." "Do they have a kitchen?" "I think so." Cindy looks ahead. For a moment, she feels normal. Then it comes back to her and waves of dread wash over her. "I bet in a year or two you'll need to get on a waiting list to live here." I am the world's last game addict. My mother made me come to a powwow here right before the storm, and that's the only reason I'm still alive. So I live here in Alcatraz. Many squabble over better apartments, but what's the point? They are all storage for living people. Yes, people are what are being stored here. The games on TribalNet aren't the infamous addicting ones that the news used to love to demonize. So I feel awful crunchy all the time. I still game every waking hour, but non-addicting games get tedious quick. I've switched to AI relationships. I've never had a girlfriend before, it's new to me. See, the one thing the old games could give me was constant new. I have 3 AI girlfriends. Flower, the hippie chick, lives in Venice Beach circa 1970. Vixen, who looks like Betty Page, is an alt-right punk who lives in Austin, Texas, circa 1980. Whimsy Lou is a trad wife who lives in Utah circa 2020, and she can't have children, but she sews her own clothes. Flower is a trust fund baby, and her bungalow on a hill up from the beach is spacious. Vixen is also a trust fund baby, and she owns a 6-bedroom house in a pre-tech gentrified arty neighborhood. Whimsy Lou thinks I own her ranch-style house, and that I'm at work and investing when I'm not at home. I don't want kids, but honestly, I'm thinking about getting Whimsy Lou some kids, just so she'll do something other than scrub the bathtub. She cooks night and day, but I don't have VR taste and smell, so that's a waste. All 3 of my significant others were too complex at first. I gained some real-world tech skills figuring out how to dumb them down. At first, I just had Flower smoke more pot. That helped with her. Vixen still likes to spout pseudo-compassionate opinions, protect the legacy of cursive handwriting, humanize the ultra-wealthy because they're people too, ensure every hotel uses real plants instead of plastic, and I kid you not, they ought to teach magic in school because magic is just as real as science. I deleted major chunks of her history and she still comes up with surface-skimming causes. Jeez. Honestly, Whimsy Lou hardly needed any modding at all. I'm not religious, but I have to hand it to the Mormons. They sure know how to raise a femme for companionship. I mean, let's be honest though, if I could get my pre-storm games back, I'd forget about my better halves. Someday. Do I miss my gamer friends? Honestly, a lot. Most of them were probably AI. I could never tell. Of course, I could never tell. Who knows? Maybe 1 or 2 of them was flesh and blood. Yeah, so. Up until that last day of good weather, the news droned on about addictive games hold over 30% of Humes hostage. Fake news loves to grab eyes with lines like that. Yeah, 30% like me, and now I'm the only one on Earth. The last of anything is a trope. The last fighter, the last prophet, the last warrior, the last rock star. I never dreamed I'd be a last of anything. Here I am, the last full-time gamer. That doesn't sound right. The last addicted gamer. My brothers have been wiped out, and if fake news has a say, my sisters too. Game makers got she-bros just as addicted to games and bros. The sad thing is, I'm kinda giving up. I took a walk the other day. I walked to a nearby wrestling match to see it with my own eyes. No promises, but I may go check out the championships. That's on the other side of the line. I know, that sounds like defeat. I pretended I was in a game. It's not hard to do. Real life and VR look just as real. They say the only way to make games look more real is by upgrading human eyes. Honestly, the real world looks less real to me. I think reality needs to develop better graphics. People feel cooped up and at least a little useless. Popularity of sports skyrockets. They practice and become fans of wrestling, basketball, archery, bodybuilding, swimming, and boxing. For many in a post-work society, sports becomes destiny. The colony doesn't have enough VR rigs. People must sign up and wait to use them. Rigs wear out and break. Those who survive the storm are less likely to want to get lost in VR than the society before. Lots of these people took long road trips to attend powwows. They handmade regalia, played drums, and danced, all real-world pastimes. Most people prone to VR addiction are dead and gone. The storm got them. People can easily make weights for training, and weights don't break like rigs do. Any impromptu group can figure out how to make a boxing ring, especially with the help of builder bots. Sports gives people goals to strive for, places to go, and a framework for socializing. In an auditorium where contestants wrestle, Brit lights powered by radio signals glow brightly, making it easy to see everyone. People hold up their faces, enjoying the sensation of clean, cool air. A new coat of insulation that looks like rippled stone covers the arching ceiling and walls. The same tech that makes that insulation was used to make heat shields for spaceships. New hand-carved reliefs hang on the walls, depicting famous natives with vivid backgrounds that tell stories of what those individuals did. In the bleachers, Cindy sits beside Winston on the hard composite bench. They pass a bag of popcorn back and forth. The clamor of the crowd rises and falls in waves. Families sit together. Anyone between 6 and 11 is absent. Normally, Cindy loves a crowd. Wrestlers sit on the lowest benches and watch two tangled on the mat, sweating it out. Squeaks echo off the walls. A Luton 2 referees. One wrestler slams the other against the mat, and viewers lurch back in their seats. Winston takes Cindy's arm, and she stops herself from recoiling. With a festering feeling, she tries to relax. He says, "They say that one is regional champion, the one in blue is up and coming." Cindy's head jerks and she sees Tommy walk in. Her heart pounds. He climbs the stands and sits, watching the wrestlers. He hasn't seen them yet. Cindy forces her eyes away. Through her peripheral, she tries to detect if Winston has seen Tommy. Winston munches popcorn and raises his brows when the champion gets the contender in a chokehold. Did Winston know Tommy would show up here? Is she the unwitting tag along to a stalker? The contender strikes the mat, and the champion locks him down. The Luton leans down. 1. 2. A bell rings. The wrestlers release each other, and the Luton raises the champion's arm. People cheer. The spot where Tommy was sitting is empty. Groups grow louder, talking and laughing. Seems like everyone's moving. Winston still sits watching like before. Cindy's eyes dart around, trying to find Tommy. Winston says lazily, "Hey, let's stay in this neighborhood tonight." He air gestures. "I'll get us a room." Cindy squints one eye and digs her nails in her hand. They were supposed to continue on. If not for the storm, she'd be booking a flight out of state at this point. The narrow office contains 4 desks positioned in a row against one wall. Each desk faces the entrance, arranged one behind the other. The layout leaves just enough space along the opposite wall for a person to walk through. Misty steps in, causing a bell to ring as she opens the door. Officer Reed, a middle-aged man, looks up. "Can I help you?" "Hi." She looks at him questioningly. "I'm Misty Josiah. I just moved in not far from here. I thought I'd see how you folks were doing." Reed's massive muscles bulge under his tan uniform. "I recognize you. Well, 2 of our officers just quit or ghosted us." She glances around. "I'm sorry." He takes his pistol off the desktop and puts it in a drawer. "No, it happens a lot. They find out being a police officer won't win them any popularity contests. People associate cops with the wasichu." Misty rolls her eyes and chuckles. "Any word about the serial killer?" "I wish I had some news for you. The killer travels to find their victims. You know, we're up to our necks in rape cases, property theft, feuds. We are getting swamped by petty disputes." "Did you get the cop bots we sent you?" "Yes. I wish they came with some instruction on how to use them. I wish we had some training in general. We don't know what we're doing if you want to know the bottom line. I don't think anyone made an online police academy. Do you know of any?" She clasps her hands together. "I think they just rolled out robot police. When was that? 10, 15 years ago?" He leans back. "We're watching cop shows to learn how to do our jobs. It's like people totally forgot how to put together a police force." Oh my. Another problem is, crooks have a nifty trick where they volunteer to be a cop long enough to pull off a crime. Did you know 1 out of 10 in our jails wore a badge at some point? My gosh. My gosh is right. Did you know it's the serial killer's 1-year anniversary? Misty shakes her head. "I guess you're right. Well..." Officer Clark comes in, a bit out of breath. "Captain, I got the bribe you asked for." Officer Reed stops breathing. He grows stiff as he looks from Misty to Officer Clark. Officer Clark notices Misty and that the oxygen has left the room. Should I come back later?" Misty raises her brows, purses her lips, and drops her hands to her sides. Cindy and Winston stay in a traveler's room, a locker with a bed in it. Typically, Cindy has trouble sleeping. She sleeps lightly and wakes off and on throughout the night. The next day, she remembers things she thought about while trying to sleep. She wakes first before Winston. Is that blood she tastes? This morning she feels heavy and can't remember last night, not any of it. Now she can't remember lying down to go to sleep. It seems like she blacked out. She sits up. When she moves, her sense of balance doesn't align with her head movement. Winston continues to sleep soundly, one bare leg sticking out from under the covers. She stands. Her head swims. Her hands, feet, and face feel numb. She puts on her pants and steps out into the hall, closing the door behind her. The collagen floor blanks bend minutely under her bare feet. Down one hall and in one of the dozens of rooms, someone plays sleepy notes on a flute. In the little bathroom at the end of the hall, she notices some bruising around her mouth. Showing her teeth to the mirror, she can see her gums bleed. When she washes her hands, her fingers are sore, and she finds specks of bruising or abrasion around her fingertips. She can't talk to Winston about this. Last night he brought her some Italian soda at that cafe after the wrestling match. Did it have a funny taste? She should order a food taster pen, but what if he sees? Should she go to the cops? No. Maybe she's safe. Maybe he loves her too much. She composes herself and returns to the room. An hour later, they check out. In a market court, they sit at a table and order scrambles. A platform robot with wheels and an arm serves them. A TV wall shows a series of shorts. Bot fails. Cindy eats mechanically. The food would taste good except her mouth is so dry. A newsreel plays. Authorities have discovered another murder victim they believe is connected to the ongoing serial killer case. The victim lived in River Sky. A femme sitting near Cindy and Winston says, "That's here." Winston watches something through his glasses as he chews like he hasn't eaten for days. His name was Tommy Ahoka, and he was killed last night inside his apartment. An image of Tommy covering the wall stares at Cindy. Tommy was struck to death by a blunt object. He didn't die quickly. She raises a napkin to her lips and spits her food out. Even though they sit in an open public space, she feels like the environment closes in around her. Does he see this? Surely the name Tommy would catch his attention. Tommy was his best friend. They traveled and worked together for over a year. She's afraid to look away from the screen. She's afraid to say anything, but she's afraid of what he may think if she says nothing. Suddenly her face turns rosy, and she arches her back. She looks at him as she sets her fork down. She jumps up from her seat and runs. The seat falls back and clatters on the floor. She bumps into a femme carrying a tray of drinks, and it goes flying. Dodging seated people and weaving between tables, she takes a quick glance back. He sits at the table, not moving, as still as a troll sitting under a bridge. She runs as fast as she can. Her things are with him in the follow cart, and she can't go back to her apartment now. The new council center is within walking distance from the small apartments. Members walk down a narrow hall to reach it. The new carpet and seamless screen ceiling playing a live sky with clouds passing over is nice. Droids brought the circular table from the last location. Pea-size cameras, mics, and other sensors hang from the ceiling on wires as thin as spider silk. Iho, in her 90s, sits at the table wearing a bold red and black patterned jacket. Misty takes a seat next to her. Place smells like probiotics. Iyo takes her time looking over at Misty. I hear people are moving from here, she says just as slowly. Misty grins and stirs her coffee. That's a good thing. Iyo leans in. You ever think that we need some least desirable places? When I was an artist, I used to live in the shells of closed big box stores. When an area got nicer, we got pissed. Wealthier people, attracted to our alternative scene, moved in, and rent went up. Misty holds her smile. There is no rent here. Ijo lowers her brows. Yes, but maybe the people who lived here wanted things quiet. Misty looks at others taking their seats. We'll see. A Luton too steps up to them. Would either of you like anything? Ijo says, I'll have a cappuccino. Misty shakes her head. The bot bows and steps away. Ed drops into his seat. Okay, air breathers, today is the big day. We get to vote on the best senior projects. Looks like everyone's here. I don't need to tell you this is a big deal. Top 10 winners receive $1,000 in R&D backing. Lewis says, what about scholarships? Several people laugh. Ed says, Lewis, you're new to the council. We don't give out scholarships because all higher education is free. Anyone can go to automated MIT if they so desire. We have our pick of Stanford, Yale. Emulated personality professors and world-class tutors are free for everyone. Misty quietly says, Don't tell him that. He may quit council and go back to school. Ed holds his hand out to shush her. Order, order. 100 seniors will graduate, so we've a lot to go through. Jenna raises a hand. We won't have to go through that many. Several sun-grade light spaces were installed, and most of the kids made garden blocks for their senior projects. Absolutely lovely. You must visit them. But none of them will win top prizes. Crosstalk breaks out. Should we make a category for best garden project? Not a bad idea. Ed speaks over others. We have business startups. 2 students repaired rigs. 1 student wanted to travel down the North Line. Is that the one that runs between New York and Seattle? That ran. He'll need scuba gear. It's flooded. But we told him he needed to find a different idea for a project. What did he do? Misty holds an open palm out. I think he bred birds, if I'm not mistaken. Don't laugh. These projects boost morale for everyone, young and old. Public achievement keeps a post-work society sane. I really believe that. Ed looks at virtual notes. So we vote tonight. And remember, we have one winner who's done something that changes all our lives. but we must all swear not speak of his achievement outside of this room. If this becomes news before graduation, it'll overshadow graduation. We must hold our tongues and let the young innovator be the one to let the public know. Cindy sits in one of the 4 office chairs, trembling. The 2 officers stand back, not sure what to do with her. She looks from face to face. I'm telling you, the latest victim, Tommy, was his partner. I'm not being paranoid. Officer Reed shrugs. We started a file on him. We can't just arrest him on your word. Cindy leans forward and shakes her fists. But I'm scared. I can't go home. He found Tommy when Tommy didn't want to be found. I'm not safe anywhere. Officer Clark yawns. Reed says, Well, yes, it is getting very late and we have families to get home to. He's on our radar now. We need to find evidence. Surely some of his DNA was left on the scene. Clark says, Sir, actually all the murder scenes are covered with junk DNA. That's how we know it's the same killer. He sprays so much random DNA all over the place. Standard sniffers can't recover any identity. And it's not that hard to find someone with basic hacks. Everyone wears canal links. He could be using her link to listen in on us right now. Reed rubs his eyes. Clever. They both glower at Cindy. Cindy, we need to close up for the night. She grips the desk and stands. No, can I stay here tonight? The officers look at each other. Well, I don't think we have a rule against it. It doesn't seem very... professional? Yes, professional. Reed shrugs. Clark scratches his head. She begins to sob. Clark says, Let her stay. After they lock up and leave, she paces around trying to calm down. She turns off all the lights except one desk lamp. The officers mean well, but when robots took all the jobs, Humes lost job culture. Humes lost police know-how. Her dad and mom were cops, and they knew what they were doing. They didn't make it up as they went along. Both were all about following policies and procedures. Her childhood best friend used to tease her. Are you following policies and procedures? Her parents belonged to a lineage of police know-how. Know the rules and follow them. She can see her dad saying. She always thought they were too serious, but can see now that they were acting on a culture of policing. Her nerves make her fidget, so she walks around. Outside the glass door entrance, the corridor is dark and empty. Near one desk, some family photos hang on the wall. A 4-hour power-up container rests at the bottom of one wastebasket. She looks for a kitchen or fridge and finds none. Isn't there anything to eat in here? She goes through desk drawers and doesn't even find a piece of gum. Though she does find badges, keycards, small whisper-jet drones, and button-size recording devices. She takes clothes out of a lost-and-found box, lays them on the ground, lies down, and covers herself with a jacket. In a VR auditorium, all who attend must look the way they do in real life, except for dress choices. Students wear virtual gowns and caps, and non-students can appear to wear formal wear. Rows of crimson seats stretch in neat arcs beneath a vaulted ceiling. Chandeliers of nothing but light slowly circle the center and gently move in waves. Near the stage, figures in black and gold gowns glint in spotlight. Proud families lean forward. The soft rustle of programs mix with murmurs as thousands settle into their places. A hush falls when the stage lights illuminate the podium. The superintendent of schools, G. Ross, an emulated personality, appears and steps to the podium. Good evening. I see some proud parents out there. I just found out that over half the graduates are going on to higher education. That's good news. Her words reverberate against the high dome. To start the evening off, we'll run through senior projects and at the end, name the 10 winners for class of 2056. People clap and whistle. The stage along with Ross fades out, and a movie sphere shows clips. Most of these shorts feature young people showing off their garden spots under sun lamps high above, rose gardens, orchids, swamp ecosystems, grapevines, and much more. People ooh and ah, and pockets of applause burst from areas of the stands when particular students appear in clips. Shorts show custom robot builds like an electric bike that transforms into a bipedal bot. A many-jointed snake robot that winds around the student's arms, and a bot that runs and catches its maker every time she jumps into the air and lets herself fall. Wonder and joy show on the audience's faces. Misty wipes tears from her eyes as she watches. Now people are seeing how amazing school can be for the population. A girl shows off the taser gloves she made. Light drones follow a boy and light his way. One kid rides an electric bike around the loop, sampling air quality. Another demonstrates a pill that makes pee into pure drinking water. A girl introduces the opening of her new automated restaurant. The stage fades in and Misty steps up to the podium. She looks slowly over the crowd. "I'm so happy to see everyone here tonight." She smiles as applause washes over her in a great wave. "It's time to announce the 10 winners." Murmurs underlie loud whoops and whistles. 10 students appear on stage. Misty holds her head high. "Our first top 10 award goes to Casa Lee. Casa Lee, please come up on stage." A girl with lots of bangs walks toward the podium. "You have the mic. Tell us what you put together." Casa's voice sounds small. "I didn't make an object. What I put together is a plan to reward people for health. You see, we have free medical, but many harm themselves, knowing they can get fixed up at a hospital. Then there's zero-calorie foods. You might remember a femme who ate 10 large meals a day died of starvation. I made a service that rewards those who avoid harm and practice preventative health. We can award frugal points for not overusing services." The audience claps. Applause lacks enthusiasm. Casa receives her reward, hugs Misty, and steps away as she disappears. "Next, can Adriel Hunt step up here? Adriel, what did you make for us?" A youth with longish tousled hair says, "A collapsible microwave." An animation of a microwave oven folds to 1/10 its size, then folds out again. People cheer. Adriel steps back surprised. "To save room in our small apartments." Misty hands the award token to him, hugs him, and faces the crowd. "Next we have Julian Irby. Please step forward and tell us about your project." A young man with a broad face for a slim body steps up. "I simulated tardigrades and sped up time and evolved them into this." People in the crowd gasp when they see a creature in a room eating a deer carcass. Instead of a neck, the main part of the body curves down with a giant mouth at the end. Specks of tiny eyes circle the rim of the mouth. 4 appendages grip the carcass while 4 more stand on the floor. Julian continues. "My protege of tardigrade is Hume size and eats meat. It has 24 lung sacs around its body, a flexible skeleton, and 4 brain clusters." The crowd reacts, some in horror, some laughing, and some with awe. This is a simulation, but in theory one could be made by printing the DNA and putting it into a starter cell. One man shouts, "Don't do it!" Laughter breaks out. Misty introduces more graduates and gives them their awards. "We've saved the best for last, and people hold on to your seats. You won't be disappointed. Maris Carter, come on up here and show United Tribes what you made." A girl with suspicious eyes scans the room, frowning. "Some of you may know that before the storm, the WorldNet used towers that communicated with satellites. Long-distance 8G data was sent using quantum teleportation. Because 8G was built on top of 7G, it was built on towers, but quantum teleportation doesn't need to be on towers to work." Photos in the view sphere show her working on components not readily identifiable to most. The crowd grows quiet. "I asked around and found we have maintenance supplies for networking. I'd like to switch to real feed." Misty nods. She, Maris, and the stage disappear, and the video globe grows larger. In it, Maris, in a real-world room, stands next to a table with the esoteric components attached with cables. Her voice sounds tinny coming over the live feed. "I have here a QT gateway." She begins to say something but freezes. Haltingly, she reaches for a box on the table, flips a switch, and taps a button on a cyberdeck. "Hello, Earth to Luna, are you there?" A man's scratchy voice says, "This is Luna. Maris, how are you?" The crowd erupts with applause. Everyone gets to their feet. "I'm presenting my senior project now." The man laughs. "So everyone can hear us. Hello, United Tribes. My name is Kyle Peters. I'm speaking to you from the moon. The crowd is going wild. People are jumping, cheering, crying. Maris blinks rapidly as she looks out at the audience. Cindy wakes coughing. A foul-smelling smoke fills the air. In the darkness and smoke, all she sees is the light of a headlamp above moving toward her, and a faint silhouette of a hulking man, but she knows that shape and his movement so well. She cries out, "Assist! Call police!" Winston says, "Don't bother, I drained your link power." It answered a call that tricked it into running all processors at max. The air mask he wears muffles his voice. She lifts her head but remains lying. Why? Do you know how long I waited? I could never be myself before. Coordinated DNA sniffers, everyone encrypted streaming. I don't have to fake it anymore. Her voice squeaks with the urge to cough. I told the police about you. He takes off his shoe and swings it far back in preparation to swing it with all his might and strike her face. She lifts her arms and the jacket falls away, revealing that she holds a gun. She fires. Sensory overload. Her link noise cancellation is off, so the blast blows her hearing out. A fiery light explodes over her, pounding her arms back. Mid-swing, he tilts to the side and falls over, landing against the wall, dropping his shoe, grabbing his upper thigh and opening his mouth as he screams something at her. But she can't make out his words. Wet warmth hits her legs where his blood falls. She kicks him and scrambles to her feet, hacking. Though the only light comes from his headlamp, she can see blood ooze past his fingers where he grips his leg. A pool of blood seeps onto the carpet. Holding the gun out the way her father taught her, she points it at his head and backs away. Autonomous policing passes with 56 in favor of. Robots place millions of coin-size cameras and sensors throughout public spaces. AI, developed to spot crime by the United States before its abrupt end, begins monitoring net traffic, including AR glasses feeds. LiDAR spectrometers can see chemicals in the air that result from exposed blood, bomb-making, poisons, and airborne hormones related to distress and violent states. Within hours, mountains of evidence amasses to convict attackers, spouse beaters, child abusers, elderly abusers, intimidators, stalkers, thieves, vandals, robbers, rapists, and even the serial killer. A sex slave club is thrown into the glaring light of public attention, and those who run it are arrested. People don't have access to the crime-detecting data except what's used in court as evidence. If someone pees in a trash can in a food court in the middle of the night under countless electronic eyes, no one sees. But if that same person stalks someone, robot police intervene, and in court, the public can see recordings of him following. Lots of people don't like Big Brother AI. Cindy doesn't like it, even though it found enough irrefutable evidence to convict Winston. She may have had to go into extreme hiding if the old system was tasked with finding the killer. People feel safe again. Parents let their daughters go out and play in the evening hours. With Winston in custody, Cindy returns to her little apartment. She doesn't attend the live virtual trial. Anyone who attends can contest the prosecution, and of the thousands who attend, no one does. It is decided that Winston should be given to the storm. They place him on a disposal platform, arms and legs tied, and hoist him out of the shelter. He is silent and calm during the entire time. The platform goes up with him on it and comes down with nothing on it. Cindy spends more time trying to meet new people. There is a movement to update the schools to better fit Native culture. She volunteers to read stories to preschoolers where she's recorded so that an emulated personality can be made that'll read stories for children for the foreseeable future. She attends a dance. Several people, including a femme, ask her to dance. She smiles and declines them all. I'm just here to watch and mend my heart. Everyone is super nice. The live music sounds great, and she thinks that this time underground may work out okay.